Richard Hammond just revealed his secret motorcycle collection, and it's worth millions. For years, fans only knew him for wrecking supercars on Top Gear, but behind the scenes, he's been quietly building one of the most impressive bike collections in Britain. From 19 and 20s classics to modern superbikes, every machine tells a story, and every single one still runs. Today, the doors open, the engines start. Watch till the end to find out the truth about Hammond's obsession. The barn door opens. The air feels thick with oil and memory when Richard Hammond rolls open the doors of his barn. There is no stage light, no corporate banner, just sunlight falling across a line of motorcycles that look too real to be curated. The small cough of fuel valves, the soft tick of cooling fins, and the smell of stale petrol hang together like a hymn for old mechanics. One by one, he pulls them into view. Machines built not for display, but for the road and the man who still can't stop talking about them. For years, riders wondered what Hammond truly kept hidden. Now that the secret is out, every motor tells a story the internet could never fake. There's dust on the pipes, finger marks on the tanks, and a dozen half-finished ideas still wearing their age with pride. When an engine hesitates to start, it's not failure. It's proof of life. These sounds, those imperfections, they matter more than showroom polish. The moment a bike starts coughing smoke into open air, the myth becomes fact. You can't fake a real lineup. Every throttle twist is a receipt of time spent in the saddle, not time spent filming. And for any rider who's ever dreamed of owning machines that mean something, this reveal hits home. The air settles, the echoes fade, and a deeper heartbeat begins. The sound of German precision warming to life. If you're loving this deep dive into Hammond's legendary collection, hit that like button and drop a comment. Tell us which bike you'd steal the keys to first. Boxer truths. The sound changes when the BMWs take center stage. The Boxer twins idle with a low, deliberate rhythm that feels closer to a heartbeat than an engine. One sits from 1929, its crankcase polished by 96 years of hands. Another is a mid-70s R90S, still wearing its orange fade like a badge from a lost decade. And parked beside them, the gray Touring RT, older, heavier, loaded with miles, waits like a workhorse that never left the road. Hammond calls them ugly and gawky, but you can see the respect in his grin. He knows what most riders forget. The Germans built these things to last. Each opposed piston pushes against the other, canceling vibration, stabilizing the ride, and making a sound that could hypnotize a man halfway across a country road. The same logic that shaped this pre-war twin runs through the late model RT, shaft drive, air cooling, and an engine that outlives fads. While other bikes chased fashion, these BMWs perfected continuity. The engineering line never broke, only improved. The controls are still simple, the stance still upright, the function still absolute. Hammond's RT might not impress a crowd, but it can outlive their attention spans. And that's why real riders keep one touring bike that just works. It becomes the spine of a garage, the one machine that gets you home when every other toy is sleeping. Real bikes, real stories, and the gear to match. Hit the description to grab yours. Poster age Japan. Every rider born before 1985 remembers this era. It smelled like two-stroke oil and teenage ambition. Hammond walks over to a Kawasaki ZX-R 750, its twin intake pipes staring forward like the nostrils of a predator. He laughs, remembering the shop windows of the 80s when kids pressed their faces to the glass, dreaming about ram air power and color-matched leathers. Next to it sits a KR-1S, bare panels, half rebuilt, a two-stroke that refuses to die quietly. Below 7,000 revolutions, it feels broken. Past that, it screams like a banshee unleashed. Then the camera moves to the Suzuki Katana. Sharp edges, gunmetal stance. It looked like the future had arrived on two wheels. Back then, nobody had ever seen lines that angular. It didn't need to be the fastest. It just needed to look dangerous parked outside the cafe. And beyond it sits the GSX-R 1100, the end of an era when more cubic centimeters meant more bragging rights. In its day, that bike was a throne on wheels. This isn't nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, it's the proof of how Japan taught the world to dream faster. These machines minted the sound of speed itself. They built the fantasy every kid wanted and the memory every adult still chases. British thoroughbreds. The tone shifts when the British steel rolls forward. The Norton sits tall, black and lean, its featherbed frame hugging the air like a bowstring pulled tight. Hammond calls it a little rocket, and he isn't exaggerating. This one raced for real decades ago. You can still see the wear marks on the tank where the rider's knees once held fast at full tilt. It's been rebuilt, not restored. Updated onto a featherbed frame to gain stiffness and lose weight, even back when materials were scarce. There's history in its welds, and it moves with a thoroughbred's nervous confidence. Then comes the Bras Superior, the so-called Rolls-Royce of motorcycles. Lawrence of Arabia rode one and died on it, a line that alone could fill 10 documentaries. Hammond knows the legend, but he treats it like a friend, not a relic. Built in the 1920s, the Bra wasn't one company's parts. It was everyone's best. George Bra picked the finest forks, the strongest frames, the smoothest engines, and combined them into something no other factory could match. A Bra didn't just cost money, it demanded it, often equal to a house on a British street. Standing beside these two machines, Hammond's voice drops. It's not just admiration, it's reverence for builders who thought ahead of their century. They built by feel, by weight, by balance, and by pride. Every nut and lever meant something personal. Today's collectors still chase that principle. Receipts, documents, period parts, the truth written in metal. Just when heritage feels complete, the tone sharpens. Red lines, the Ducati axis. There's a certain kind of silence before a Ducati starts. It's not mechanical, it's reverent. Richard Hammond stands over his pair of red Italians, both built from the same idea that style can be as powerful as speed. The first is a 916, the machine that reshaped what a superbike should look like. The second, a Fogarty SPS, numbered, rare, dripping with carbon fiber and intent. He knows what he has here. Design history that can still make a man's pulse jump. The dry clutch chatters like cutlery in a drawer, and the bike's stance looks like it's ready to strike. The single-sided swing arm, the twin underseat exhausts, the aggressive rake, all of it came from Massimo Tamburini's brain. A geometry that fused sculpture and race engineering. Hammond doesn't call it art, he calls it perfect logic in motion. And that's the truth about great design. It survives every new model year. These bikes were limited not just by production numbers, but by purpose. They were built for homologation to get Ducati into the winner's circle with Carl Fogarty behind the bars. That success burned the brand into memory, and now every collector still feels that same spark. The 916 was beauty that beat its own lap times. If you ever chase a keeper, find one where form and function shake hands. The lines never age, even when the hype does. Once the roar fades, simplicity steps forward, a reminder that joy doesn't need carbon fiber to feel fast. Rideable joy. Right beside the Italians sit two bikes that prove you don't need carbon fiber or celebrity names to smile. Hammond's Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 is the kind of machine that reminds you why you ever fell in love with riding. No aerodynamic wings, no dashboards that glow like spaceships, just chrome, paint, and the low thrum of a simple parallel twin. The seat looks right, the tank fits, and when he turns the key, the bike answers without hesitation. That's real reliability dressed in nostalgia. Next to it rests a Sealy frame carrying Honda CB running gear, a racer's idea of practicality. Hammond grins when he starts it because the noise that comes out isn't polite. It's a reminder that mechanical creativity doesn't need corporate permission. The Sealy Honda feels handmade in every rev, a kind of joy that no software update can replace. This chapter of the collection proves that accessibility can be beautiful. You don't need to remortgage your house to find a bike that stirs something deep. What matters is how easily it makes you want to ride. These two start on the first push, warm up fast, and never ask for special treatment. They're proof that the best part of collecting is riding what you own. The lens widens again. A single machine dominates the horizon, 6 cylinders across. The wall of cylinders. When the camera pans across the Honda CBX, the air changes. 6 cylinders sit shoulder to shoulder, stretching across the frame like an industrial skyline. Hammond walks around it slowly, eyes tracing the fins, the pipes, the enormity of the thing. To most people, it's overkill. To anyone who's ever listened to a high-revving inline 6, it's symphony. He calls it the wall, and that's exactly how it feels, a barrier between ordinary and extraordinary. The CBX weighs more than most cruisers, but its presence cancels the complaint. Start it, and the sound climbs through the room like turbine wind. Hammond tells the story of almost dropping it once, leg-locked, heart-pounding, but refusing to let it fall. That's pride, not ego. Every old rider has had a moment where sheer stubbornness saved a bike. It's part of the bond. Mechanically, the CBX shouldn't make sense. It's wide, heavy, hard to park, and expensive to maintain. But it does something no lightweight machine can. It looks and sounds like engineering flexing its muscles. This is spectacle that earned its keep, the kind of over-the-top logic that defines a golden age. Every garage needs one showpiece that still earns its startup. The CBX is Hammond's. It's his monument to mechanical ambition. When the echoes die down, the story splits in two. Tradition on one side, pure defiance on the other. Two Indians, ritual versus rebellion. To close this section, Hammond shifts from order to chaos. On one side stands a 1940s Indian chief, all fenders and flowing lines, the color of deep cherry lacquer and war-era craftsmanship. He demonstrates the foot clutch and hand shift combo, laughing about how everything feels in the wrong place. The throttle sits on the left, the ignition on the right. It's less like riding and more like operating a printing press on wheels, but that's the charm. It demands patience and respect. Kick it to life and the chief rewards you with a sound that could calm an army. It's slow, deep, and proud. Hammond admits he wouldn't take it through London traffic, but he loves what it represents. A world where riders worked for every mile. The machine teaches humility. Then, the mood flips. He swings a leg over his Indian FTR 1200R Carbon Edition, the modern hooligan of the bunch. It's light, loud, and dangerously eager. Where the chief asks permission, the FTR dares you to misbehave. Crack the throttle and it leaps forward like it's laughing. Hammond rides it because it wakes him up, not because it's easy. This pairing shows how two bikes from one badge can live in total opposition. One teaches control, the other chaos. Together they explain why riding never gets old. Keep one for patience, one for adrenaline. With every story told, a pattern emerges. This isn't random hoarding, it's strategy disguised as passion. How collections earn zeros. Every serious collection needs more than luck. It needs structure. Richard Hammond's lineup looks spontaneous, but under the surface, it's a portfolio built with discipline. There's a pre-war British race bike, a 70s German tourer, an 80s and 90s wave of Japanese icons, a 90s Italian design masterpiece, and a modern American bruiser. That's not chaos. That's balance. Each era acts as an anchor that holds the next generation steady. A pre-war bike provides history. The German twin ensures reliability. The Japanese sport bikes bring energy, the Italians give art, and the modern Indian adds relevance. Together, they form a pattern every seasoned rider can understand. Breadth keeps a collection safe. Depth gives it character. Hammond hasn't built a wall of trophies. He's built a timeline of engineering intent, each piece proving why motorcycles evolved the way they did. Collectors who only chase hype end up with fragile value. But riders who choose one grail bike, one rider-grade workhorse, one design icon, and one project that tells a story, those are the people whose garages hold their worth through recessions, fads, and trends. The zeros follow patience. Hammond's variety shows he knows this game, a mix of emotion and strategy with every nut and bolt pulling its financial weight. The closer you look, the clearer it gets. Value isn't found in polish, but in the noise real machines make. receipts, and rattles. Watch Hammond long enough and you'll notice something no auction catalog could fake. His bikes aren't showroom queens. Some cough before they catch, others tick louder than they should, and the dry clutch on that Ducati rattles like a toolbox falling downstairs. But that's the language of truth. Any real rider can tell more about a motorcycle in 5 seconds of startup noise than in 5 pages of appraisal paperwork. He doesn't hide the imperfections because he doesn't need to. When an old BMW takes a few tries to start or a two-stroke smokes out the frame, that's authenticity talking. The difference between a collector and a curator is simple. One hides the flaws, the other understands them. Hammond proves that the honesty of operation, the tickle, the prime, the smell of fuel, matters more than polish. Perfection is sterile. Imperfection is evidence. When a bike breathes, you know it's alive. Every rattle, every stumble, every idle that wavers tells a story about miles, not money. And that's why smart buyers listen before they read. The camera catches what contracts can't. Running engines and warm oil. Hammond's collection gains trust not through gloss but through grit. It's the same rule any real biker lives by. If you can start it, you can trust it. From authenticity comes taste, the kind that can't be taught or bought, only ridden into existence. Taste over trend. Walk through Hammond's barn and you'll see something that separates him from trend chasers. He keeps what he likes, not what sells. The BMW RT he calls a truck might not turn heads, but it does what few new bikes can. It runs to London and back without complaint. It's a workhorse, not a showpiece, and that practicality gives it dignity. Beside it sits another outlier, the Suzuki Katana. Once polarizing, now a design benchmark. Hammond doesn't care that it's not the fastest machine in the shed. He keeps it because it looks right, and that's enough. That's the secret no algorithm or auction house can bottle. Taste beats trend. The same mindset that makes an old touring rig valuable to a long-distance rider makes an angular Japanese machine valuable to a designer. Hammond's collection works because it's personal. It's not optimized for Instagram engagement or dealer approval. It's built for his eye, his hands, and his roads. Riders who follow their gut instead of groupthink always win in the long run. Market hype ages faster than metal. The real payoff comes years later, when those so-called boring bikes suddenly become rare, or when their design earns new respect. The truth? What you love today often becomes what others chase tomorrow. Every decision, every bolt, every bike adds up. The numbers don't lie. The math behind emotion finally reveals itself. Why multi-million holds? When headlines call Hammond's collection multi-million, it's not exaggeration, it's math. Add up a foggy edition Ducati, a genuine Bro Superior, a pre-war BMW runner, and a catalog of machines that actually start, and you're well past 7 figures. But the real secret behind that valuation isn't price tags, it's provenance. Every bike he's shown on camera now lives in public record. The world can see them run, hear them idle, and verify their authenticity. That's something even private collectors can't fake. Limited Italians hold their edge. Coach-built Brits hold their mystique. A living pre-war runner holds its rarity. And when you top it off with an American-made Indian that still rides, the insurance value becomes defensible. Hammond's garage isn't just full of motorcycles, it's full of receipts that happen to make noise. Collectors, insurers, and auction houses all look for one thing: proof. He's given it to them through transparency. For riders, that's the takeaway. Keep your records, document your work, roll the wheels every season. A running bike is worth double what a dormant one claims. Hammond's collection proves that metal earns money only when it moves. His approach blends love and logic, the kind of stewardship that keeps motorcycles alive as history, not decor. Once the world sees what runs, the market reacts. Proof turns into headlines, and the internet catches fire. If you want more real rides, real stories, and garages that actually matter, hit subscribe now, because we're just getting started. The next legend might be your bike. The Hammond effect. Nobody expected one barn video to shake the market, but that's exactly what happened. When Richard Hammond rolled those bikes into the light, the internet moved. Within 24 hours, searches for 𝐉𝐨𝐺 SPS tripled. Two-stroke forums lit up over the KR1S, and even auction houses reported new listings for GSXR 1100s and pre-war BMWs. That's attention economics at work, the invisible currency of modern collecting. One man opens a door and 1,000 browsers start hunting for carb kits and old VIN numbers. Every click is a tiny market nudge. When riders watch a video of a katana revving to life, someone else checks eBay to see what's left. When a bra superior trends for a day, the price of period-correct bolts climbs by nightfall. The effect doesn't last forever, but it doesn't need to. The internet only has to look twice before the next buyer believes there's a rush. Hammond never asked for this influence. It came naturally through authenticity. The lesson is simple. Attention fuels demand faster than production can react. That's why savvy riders and sellers pay attention to timing. If you see a spike forming, move early. Stage your listings with detail shots, sound clips, and paperwork. The collector's market doesn't run on luck anymore. It runs on clicks and credibility. The ripple doesn't end online. It reaches every counter, every mechanic, every garage that smells like oil and ambition. Dealer desk and parts counter. What happens on YouTube shows up at the parts counter within a week. Call any independent mechanic after a viral reveal and they'll tell you, suddenly everyone wants the same carb kits, clutch plates, or featherbed hardware. The dealers can't keep up, but the local shops see it coming. They hear the buzz before it hits the mainstream. One rider calls asking for a specific gasket. The next day, 3 more call for the same thing. That's when smart shop owners start stocking boxes before the prices climb. Hammond's collection has created a parts ripple that only real riders notice. Every time a forgotten model trends, the service tickets start piling up. The old Japanese two-strokes, they drain the shelves of pistons and plug caps. The Ducati SPS, every dry clutch pack gets back-ordered. Even the Indian FTR sees spikes in tire orders after a clip goes live. It's a strange mix of history and commerce, where the loudest engine note turns into the quiet ring of a cash register. For the working rider, this matters. Order your parts before the hype wave hits. Call your shop early. Keep your list updated and buy spares while they're still cheap. For mechanics, the opportunity is real. Stock what's about to trend, not what's already scarce. In a world of corporate supply chains, the little garages that think ahead win big. The noise grows louder until even the suits start listening. Brands, museums, and media all chasing the echo. Museums, media, and the heritage arms race. It didn't take long for the big institutions to notice. After Hammond's barn reveal, factory museums and brand marketing teams started pivoting like their lives depended on it. Suddenly, you could see Triumph, Ducati, and BMW pushing out heritage editions that echoed the very bikes he rolled into the sunlight. Magazines ran features titled "Inside Hammond's Legacy," and even national museums hinted at new touring exhibits built around the rebirth of old metal. This isn't just flattery, it's survival. Heritage sells because it reminds riders of what made them fall in love in the first place. When a celebrity collector shows pride in a featherbed Norton or a BMW RT, the brands see proof that authenticity still has power. The more they celebrate the past, the more they secure the future. That's why limited trims, anniversary models, and factory reissues suddenly multiply after these viral moments. It's easy to be cynical, but there's good news buried in the marketing. More attention means more documentation, more parts being remade, and better support for owners of old machines. Hammond's collection doesn't just entertain, it strengthens the supply lines for everyone who rides something vintage. In the end, his barn did what no boardroom ever could. It made the world remember that the best stories still live in the smell of oil and the sound of steel. When the hype clears, only one question remains. What can you build with your own hands right where you are? Your blueprint. Now the camera fades and the real question lands back on you. What does a collection like this teach an ordinary rider with an ordinary garage? It teaches method. You don't need 30 motorcycles to build something meaningful, you just need direction. Start with 4 categories: 1 grail, 1 rider, 1 design icon, and 1 story project. That's the blueprint Hammond unknowingly handed out. It's a way to build pride you can prove, metal you can start, and value you can defend. Your grail is the bike that makes you emotional. Maybe it's the Harley that carried you across 3 states, or the Goldwing your father rode. Your rider is the one that starts every week, the workhorse that keeps your miles honest. The design icon is pure eye candy, a shape that reminds you why you love machines. And the story project? That's the unfinished one that keeps your hands dirty and your weekends full. Together, they build a garage that feels alive, not crowded. Write everything down. Keep your receipts. Record a short clip when you start them up each season. That's how Provenance begins, one small habit at a time. Hammond opened a barn and found a legacy. You can do the same on any scale as long as you choose with purpose and ride what you love. The engines fade, the echoes settle, but the story doesn't end here. Every machine in Hammond's barn proves that passion still burns louder than polish. If this deep dive into real bikes, real stories, and real history hit the throttle for you, show it some love, drop a comment below and tell us which ride stole your heart. Smash that like button to keep the engines running, and subscribe for more stories that breathe oil, steel, and soul. Because the next legend might just be waiting in your own garage.